America is a poor country. That is my conclusion after visiting America with my 3-year-old daughter as part of our around the world trip. I have nothing against Americans, and this video is not politically motivated. What I am going to say in this video is simply my observations. And I have traveled a lot, and I will be comparing America with some other countries in the world. On this trip, we visited San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. So why do I think that America is a poor country? Well, first of all, the prices in America are very expensive. It's more expensive than Europe, and also you can get the same goods in Thailand and Vietnam for a fraction of the cost. And the service in Thailand and Vietnam is probably better than that of America. Number two is the poor infrastructure or inadequate infrastructure. So when you have poor or inadequate infrastructure, you have to pay more money in order to solve your problem. Now, you see what I mean when I talk about Los Angeles. But first of all, let's talk about San Francisco. So we arrived in San Francisco and we wanted to purchase a ticket to the city center. So what do? You go to the ticket machine. And when I saw the ticket machine, it seems as though somebody had vandalized the machines. In any case, the machines looked like they were quite old. And it's now 2025, and every major city in developed countries use contactless, but not in San Francisco. In San Francisco, you have to buy a Clipper card, which is a stored value card. It costs $3. And then once you've bought your card, you can top it up and then use the public transport. I just think it's really outdated technology. And the trains are not exactly new either. Okay, so on a separate occasion, I went to a public toilet in Chinatown in downtown San Francisco. And for me, it seems as though they just thought of the cheapest way to install a toilet. It's simply made of metal. Now, if you compare it with Japan, for example, I mean, in Japan, they make an effort to ensure that the toilets are clean, that the toilets have bidet, they have toilet paper, and etc. You know, they really spend a lot of money to install public toilets. And so, and San Francisco is a major US city, and you know, why don't they spend money to install more pleasant toilets? Okay, and then next we took the bus from San Francisco to LA. It costs $75 per person to go to LA. So first thing is, you arrive at the bus station, there are no shops. You cannot buy snacks, you cannot buy drinks. There was a drinks machine, but that didn't work, so you can't buy any drinks. So this is another example of inconvenience. And finally, we got on the bus, and the bus was quite old. We are paying $75, but you're sitting on a bus which probably doesn't have reclining seats. It looked like it was at least 20 years old. I mean, the overall service is worse than Vietnam. I mean, in Vietnam, they actually employ somebody to give you free drinks and free snacks. But not in America, because in America, you get a bus that simply just means it takes you from A to B. It doesn't mean you get any other service. Okay, so finally, when we arrived in LA, we went to Disneyland. Okay, so to get from now, okay, so first of all, if you have a major tourist attraction like Disneyland in a major city like Los Angeles, I would expect there to be a direct bus service from the city center to Disneyland or a train service. But they don't have that in Los Angeles. First of all, you need to take a bus from Los Angeles Union Station to Anaheim, and then you need to change to another bus to get you to Disneyland. Now here's the bit. Here's the reason why I think America is a poor country. Now we pay $350 to go to Disneyland. That's a lot of money. And I would expect, a park that is new, but Disneyland in Los Angeles is quite old now. A lot of the rides in there are just quite average, really quite average. And the food that you buy in there is also quite average. Also poor service. Yeah. Okay, but, I can actually go to newer amusement parks in Vietnam or Thailand for a fraction of the cost. So basically after going to Disneyland, we had to go to the airport. And if I used public transport, it would have taken 2 hours. But so I was forced to take an Uber, and that cost me $70. You see, if you take public transport, it will take 2 hours. So yeah, I was tired at the end of the day, so we just took the Uber. So here is an example of, being forced to pay money in order to buy back your time, simply because the infrastructure is inadequate. So next, we flew to New York City. The first place we went to was Wall Street. Right, I have forgotten the name of the station, but there is a station which is directly below Wall Street. This is the world's financial center, and yet they just didn't bother to install a lift or an escalator. Yeah. And instead we had to walk up the stairs. And to be honest, the trains were, quite old, probably similar to London or Paris. And it's not exactly clean. When you compare it to Japan, it's not exactly clean. And then on one occasion, we stayed in New Jersey. So I had to take the bus from New Jersey back to New York. And when I boarded the bus driver told me, the contactless doesn't work. Just get on the bus. So I had a free ride on the bus. Yes, I benefited from this, but what if you were walking down the street and you wanted to buy a drink from a drinks machine, but the contactless doesn't work, so you can't buy a drink? This is the sort of thing that can happen in America. How hard is it to fix the machine on a bus? In any case, that bus was, again, quite old. And then when we left New York, we went to Times Square. So I walked a few blocks to the nearest metro station. And at that metro station, again, I saw two ladies carrying their luggage down the stairs. This is actually the world's financial center. And Times Square is a popular tourist attraction. And this is the nearest metro station to Times Square. And yet it's just a disgrace. And how can you have a metro station that doesn't have lifts? Okay, admittedly, yes, they do have lifts in some stations, but I rarely see escalators inside the New York Metro. And whilst we were going to JFK Airport, we saw a drunk guy, or maybe he was on drugs, and it's actually quite scary there. I mean, he actually scared away a few females. So, my conclusion is this. America is an expensive country, but being expensive doesn't matter so long as the goods and services that you get are top-notch. If I pay top dollars, then I expect a high-quality service. And to be honest with you, the quality of the services in America are worse than Vietnam. I mean, on this trip we went to Vietnam, and we've been to some shopping centers in Vietnam, and in Vietnam you can actually borrow wheelchairs and strollers in shopping centers. It's not something that you get in America. So this is the reason why I think America is a poor country.